Hi and welcome to teachAdam. I'm Adam and today we're looking at collocating Lexis, which basically means teaching words together with other words that frequently appear with them, known as collocates, and helping learners to see vocabulary not as isolated individual words, but as lexical items of connected relationships between two or more words. Now, 60 years ago, linguist J.R. Firth made the often quoted statement that "you shall know a word by the company it keeps," and this understanding, also big in the analytic philosophy of the day, showed that analysing the use of a word and its context would tell us more about it. In fact, it would tell us everything about it, including its meaning. So language becomes more about common patterns of words having meaning, rather than individual words standing by themselves. And this collocated lexis brings much more depth to what students can learn and understand about each word, through finding the collocates it keeps and the meanings that they give. It means that, firstly, there's always more to learn about any individual word, and secondly, laying down patterns of collocation connects one word to another easily and meaningfully. What's more, these connections speed up recall and give a starting point for Lexis beyond learning abstract concepts or translations into L1. Collocations also help learners identify word class, and the syntax of the language is built right into the collocations, so these support the acquisition of grammatical features too. And it develops listening and reading skills as it enhances students' ability to predict the next words. And finally, but vitally, practicing a collocation's pronunciation increases phonological awareness, especially of stress, weak forms, and linking between words. So to teach through collocation, you'll need a word and a collocate. Ideally, one of these will already be known to students and provide the hook to hang the new word on. You'll also want a meaningful context for these words, or a stimulus like a picture or a text, a film, a story, a problem, you know the kind of thing. By the way, if you're slightly unsure what a strong collocation for a word is, a concordancer is brilliant for finding out this information and checking your own intuitions. If you're new to these, check out the link below to another ELT Shorts video on using concordancers. So, identify your target vocab and any materials you need. The individual words you want to introduce may be a lexical set, vocab from a text or picture, or each word may be in a model sentence with a ready-made collocate, as in vocab in newsbooks. Then, identify strong collocates that connect to each word and are useful for students to learn with them. Often, these would be words that students already know, but you can turn that around and teach new words that link to known lexis in the stimulus. For example, it could be food and cooking verbs, prepositions and nouns, or at high levels adverbs collocating with adjectives such as suitably impressed and pleasantly surprised. Today we're going to use some familiar nouns and introduce some new verb collocates. First, give students the known lexis to check in a simple activity. Here it's a matching task. Then, introduce the new words and concept check them using student activity and a concept checking question. Then, ask students to work in pairs and match together or collocate one verb with each noun. Review the answers and ask students to explain a situation or an idea for each collocation. If a collocation is incorrect, elicit or offer a common collocation that matches with the student's idea. As you go through the student's answers, model and drill the collocations to help learners notice the stress and weak sounds, linking and intonation of the new lexical item. As you do this, demonstrate collocation mapping on the whiteboard and ask learners to map the new collocations in their notebooks. Mapping collocations is an important distinction from writing vocab lists and helps learners use, review and add to a word's collocates. So provide templates for students to complete initially. Later on, you can rely on your whiteboard model to demonstrate this mapping after it's become a study habit for your students. Next, ask learners to work in pairs and think of 2 more collocates for each target lexical item, either from the list or from their own ideas. This broadens out the variety of collocations and meanings from the first activity to other contexts and uses. You can do this with high frequency vocab even at proficiency level. In feedback, elicit students' ideas, their meanings and contexts for use, and check them with the whole class. Identify correct alternatives for learners' miscollocations, and add each new collocate to the vocab maps. Next, the next essential step is practicing collocations in exercises, activities, games, and creative language use. Tasks asking students to provide the same missing word for 3 or 4 collocates, or asking students to identify the collocations in a text is really useful, as is a matching game or Pelmanism, where students turn over 2 different coloured cards at a time to make and collect as many collocations as possible. Similarly, a back to the board game where students can only use the collocates of a word, or have to explain the whole collocation to a team member, all use and recycle the collocated meaning, helping link individual words together in the mind, as do the collocation memory maps, which are an excellent memory support for learners during productive activities like mingles, role plays, and interviews. So whatever you do with new Lexis when you teach it in class, do one thing with students: collocate. It truly is the most essential feature of English, as each word is primed by use to work with some other words more often and meaningfully than others. But students will only get this through noticing them and using them. Collocations contain grammar and phonology and present a meaning and use through connection, helping memorise and link words with other words. The smallest unit of meaning or learning is when 2 things interact, and teaching through collocation guarantees learners experience this studying everyday language. The alternative is hoping students get to these fundamental links by chance. Well, I hope that's been useful, and remember to check out the resources below and share your thoughts and comments and questions in the thread under the video. Thanks for watching. I'll be back soon in some more ELT shorts. Goodbye.